Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Before starting the video, please subscribe and keep watching for more details videos. Coco Gauff's US Open, the two most important shots in tennis, and what comes next. Flushing Meadows, New York. Coco Gauff's US Open ended just as she had warned it might. On an error-strewn afternoon of struggle on her forehand. The first shot she and everyone else learned as a child, and one of the two most important shots in tennis. Naomi Osaka beat her 6-3, 6-2. A duel between two multiple Grand Slam winners and former U.S. Open champions never quite caught light, and for the moment they are headed in opposite directions on their missions to fix the fundamental flaws that have prevented them from being the players they want to be. Advertisement. For the first time since the beginning of last year, when she returned to tennis after childbirth, Osaka appears truly ascendant. Partly because of players like Gauff and Iga Swiatek, women's tennis evolved while Osaka was sidelined. And because of previous breaks from the sport to manage her mental well-being and physical injuries, Osaka was mostly on the sidelines from the middle of 2021 until the start of 2024, when she reigned over tennis, swinging away from the baseline and dictating from the hash mark at its center was a route to victory. Now, power that lacks the ability to move across the court like a grasshopper and switch direction in an instant is not enough. In the middle of her 20s, Osaka had to learn new tricks, like an open stance backhand that would allow her to switch from defense to offense with a single stroke. She has made massive progress on that front. When she appointed Tomasz Wiktorowski, the coach with whom Swiatek won 4 of her 6 Grand Slam titles, her instant improvements in results had an air of the new manager bounce from soccer. With each match and tournament this summer, her feet have squeaked more and more often, and her speed and surety of foot out of the corners has improved. She has also slowly begun to regain her superpower, which was to play her best tennis in the most important moment, thumping the ball at the lines without fear of the consequences. After a run of close 3-set defeats that were intermittent, but went on for over a year, she last month saved 2 match points in an early round match in Montreal against Lyudmila Samsonova. In the end, she got within a few points of the Canadian Open title, and since then, she has decided that anything is possible. Osaka is in the quarterfinals of a Grand Slam for the first time since Australia in 2021. She has been there 4 times before. All 4 times, she lifted the trophy. Gauff, like Osaka, knows better than anyone that she has plenty of work to do. That's why she decided to start doing it just days before arguably her most important tournament of season, given that she is an American and one of the biggest stars in her sport. She was double faulting around 20 times per match this summer. That wasn't going to work in the US Open or in any tournament. So when he suddenly became available, she hired Gavin McMillan, the biomechanics specialist who helped fix Aryna Sabalenka's serve and forehand, allowing her to rise to the top of the sport. Aryna Sabalenka's team, serve mechanics, TikTok dances, and a phone call. How the world number 2 rebuilt her serve and her confidence, with the help of the team she calls family. Gauff had wanted to work with McMillan for a while. When the chance arose, she didn't care what tournament was next on her calendar, because his approach focuses on getting the body's joints to the right positions and then powering off the foundation those positions deliver. There's facts and science behind it instead of someone just telling you to do this. And you just do it, she said. When I believe in a coach and a plan, I can play some good tennis. Gauff already sees progress, and it is there on the stat sheets. She double faulted 5 times against Osaka, not great, but vastly better than where she was. Her double faults also went down round by round, while her serve speed went up. By Monday, she was averaging 104 miles per hour on her first serve, nearly 10% faster than in her opening match. There were some doubles, but I thought, that was a good performance from me serving, she said in her news conference. Using every ounce of emotional energy, she had to put a positive spin on a second consecutive 4th-round exit from New York. After the match, I was really disappointed. Kind of broke down to my team. Then hearing their perspectives and everything. It definitely is a lot of positive things. I think if I kept the way I was going in Cincinnati to here, I would have been out the first round. That's one of the shots. More baffling to her are her struggles with her forehand, which goes in and out from game to game and match to match, and even from point to point, especially on her return of serve, which was far and away the worst part of her game against Osaka. Serving well and returning poorly, patching a weakness and losing a strength, had her discombobulated. She recorded 24 errors on her forehand, over 40% of the points that Osaka won all match. Most of those go down as unforced, but Osaka's strategy was so clear and so finely executed that it's not that simple. Macmillan believes a serve is just a forehand hit on a different plane. In his paradigm, fixing one should help fix the other, but that doesn't mean the improvements will come simultaneously. They didn't for Sabalenka 3. The swing that shaped the summer, Coco Gauff's U.S. Open, and the two most important shots in tennis. There was a moment, just a sliver of time, when Arthur Ashe Stadium fell into a kind of collective silence. It was mid-September, the final of the 2023 U.S. Open, and Coco Gauff stood at the baseline, bouncing the ball 3 times before sending it into the crystalline sky. Millions were watching. Some had followed her since she was 15, when she beat Venus Williams at Wimbledon. Others had only recently started believing. But everyone in that moment understood something. History wasn't waiting in the wings. It was already on the court. What happened next wasn't just a point, a set, or even a title. It was the culmination of years of pressure, of promise, of relentless belief and redefinition. Coco Gauff had done what many had expected, but few had fully grasped. She didn't just win the U.S. Open. She claimed it, like it had always belonged to her. But behind every victory is a sequence of choices. And in tennis, those choices almost always come down to 2 strokes, the serve and the return. The serve, the first word in every rally. In tennis, the serve isn't just a shot, it's a statement. It announces not only a point but a philosophy. I will dictate how this plays out. For years, Coco Gauff's serve had been a paradox, blisteringly fast, yet erratic, powerful, yet unpredictable. It reflected, in a way, the natural tension of youth, strength without full control. But at the 2023 U.S. Open, something changed. Her serve wasn't just consistent, it was calculated. She used placement as a weapon, varying spin and speed like a veteran sculptor working clay. There were still double faults. Nerves are inevitable. But the serve had evolved from a liability into a launch pad. She wasn't the biggest server in the tournament, not with Aryna Sabalenka still in the draw. But she was smart. Wide serves on deuce, body serves on breakpoint, second serves with kick that sent opponents scrambling. It wasn't about dominance. It was about design. In the final, Gauff's serve saved her when her ground strokes tightened and the weight of the moment threatened to stall her momentum. But more importantly, it allowed her to start points on her terms. And in tennis, the first shot often decides the last. 2. The return, tennis's most underrated weapon. If the serve is a statement, then the return is a response, and Coco's return game was thunderous throughout the tournament. She returned serves like she had a grudge against them. It wasn't just about getting the ball back. It was about flipping the power dynamic instantly. Statistically, Gauff was one of the best returners in the women's game even before her title run. But in New York, her anticipation reached a level of near telepathic accuracy. Her split step seemed timed to the beat of her opponent's breath. Her footwork, a ballet of purpose, moved her into perfect position. Against power players like Yelena Ostapenko and Sabalenka, Gauff neutralized serves over 115 miles per hour, not by overpowering them, but by robbing them of intention. Her backhand return, in particular, was a scalpel, sharp, precise, and deeply strategic. She didn't just aim for the court. She targeted corners, knees, minds. It's no accident that some of her biggest turning points in the tournament came not on winners, but on returns that forced errors, broke rhythm, and rewrote the script. 3. Coco and the court of public expectations. Coco Gauff's story has always been more than just tennis. She was thrust into the spotlight young, hailed as a prodigy, interviewed more for her potential than her present. But that spotlight comes with a price. It burns as much as it illuminates. After early success, Gauff faced criticism. Her forehand was too loopy, her technique too raw, her matches too inconsistent. But instead of breaking, she bent and then rebuilt. She changed coaches, shifted tactics, added aggression. In 2023, she began working with Per Reba and later Brad Gilbert, whose influence sharpened her mental game and simplified her patterns. By the time she reached the U.S. Open, she wasn't just reacting anymore. She was executing. What made her win so poignant wasn't just her age or her talent, but her growth. She had arrived not as a girl with promise, but as a woman with proof. For what comes next? The temptation, of course, is to crown every Grand Slam champion the next great dynasty. But tennis isn't generous with promises. For every phenom who fulfills her destiny, there are a dozen who burn out, who lose themselves in the swirl of expectation, money, and time. So what comes next for Coco Gauff? 1. The evolution of her forehand. The forehand has long been considered Gauff's weakest stroke, technically flawed, prone to breaking down under pressure. But even that is changing. At the U.S. Open, she used it more as a rallying shot than a finishing blow. Her grip adjustments and footwork improvements have already borne fruit. Still, for her to dominate the WTA Tour consistently, her forehand must become a weapon, not just a placeholder. The top players, Swiatek, Sabalenka, Rybakina, will exploit any technical vulnerabilities. Coco knows this. The question is not whether she can improve, but how quickly. 2. The mental game. Gauff has always been mature beyond her years, but winning a Grand Slam shifts the psychological terrain. Now, she's no longer the hunter. She's the hunted. Every match becomes a test of sustainability. Can she carry the pressure of defending points, of playing late into every slam, of being the face of American tennis? Her U.S. Open run showed she has the tools, resilience, focus, humility. But the post-championship grind is different. It's not about proving you belong. It's about proving you still do. 3. The rivalries that will define her. Gauff versus Swiatek. Gauff versus Sabalenka. Gauff versus the next unknown teenager waiting in the shadows. These will be the battles that shape the next era of women's tennis. Her record against Swiatek, for instance, had been dismal until late 2023. Overcoming that mental hurdle was as important as any trophy. To become a true great, Gauff must not only beat the best, she must do it consistently. The WTA is in a golden era of parity, which means opportunity is everywhere, but so is resistance. Beyond the court, a voice and a vision. Coco Gauff's influence extends beyond tennis. She's spoken out on racial justice, on climate change, on education. She uses her platform not as a pedestal, but as a pulpit, careful not to shout, but always ready to speak. In a sport often starved of relatable superstars, she offers authenticity. Her smile isn't rehearsed. Her interviews aren't scripted. Her tears, like the one she shed after winning the U.S. Open, are real. And in that authenticity, she connects with young black girls who see themselves in her, with aging fans who remember the Williams sisters' rise, with anyone who has ever had to grow up too fast and still find a way to dream. 6. The echoes of legacy. There's an old saying in tennis: the ball doesn't know how old you are, but the crowd does. The cameras do. The sponsors do. And Coco Gauff, now a Grand Slam champion, must navigate a world that will try to shape her before she's finished shaping herself.